Hello, welcome everybody to the first sponsored stream, sponsored by HelloFresh, and I will be talking about a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. But we will be diving into Stanley Parable 2, as it says, thing, because apparently he's getting a sequel now. So we will start in with that. And we're going to start right up on this. The end is never, the end is never, the end is never. The end is loading.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company
Balloons.
in a building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on the keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on the desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day, every month, of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-eating, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. Stanley was happy. And
I don't know how much.
Something very peculiar happened.
The fitness gram pacer test is a multi-stage aerobic capacity test that progressively gets more difficult as it continues.
Had arrived on the monitor.
The 20-meter pacer test will begin in 30
to give him
seconds.
instructions, call a meeting, or say hi.
Hey, Max.
All his years at the company,
Thanks for the fun facts there.
something was very clearly wrong.
Hope your day's going good.
Frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest.
I was about to say, I don't know how
As he
much
came to his wits and regained his
content is going to be in this,
senses,
so
got up
I
from his
will
desk
switch
and
over
stepped
to
out of the office.
Pokemon if there isn't too much, but we will see. I already see balloons out here. That's cool. Falling. Oh no, Splatoon 3. Yes.
All of his
I didn't even play that much, and I had like over 200 hours in it.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
And I know that I would get really addicted if I got Splatoon 3. And I have too many games to get to, so no. 12th birthday Stepneys. Oh, they all say the same thing. Okay.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his
Turn that off.
coworkers.
I wonder what all is different in this. Hey,
Stanley picked up the bucket.
yes, I will definitely pick up the bucket. This bucket's coming with me forever. Why is... I don't know why that's blocked off. That's weird. Rude 420.
Stanley pressed the bucket upon every little thing in the office. Nothing responded to the bucket's touch, but it did little to discourage Stanley's belief in the magic of the bucket.
Yeah, you think right. Yes, it is our new best friend. Yes, exactly. Bucket is staying with us forever. Okay, that's not open anymore. Just saying.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Bucket. Okay, I always go this way first because...
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And
this is beautiful.
The bucket turned out to be correct. Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left.
Oh, I should have stayed in there longer. Can I go back? Oh. I feel sad now. I'm gonna go this way.
And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
No, I'm not going to. Reading this fire fanfic. Female foreign and his children and... Yes. Can I can't press that with the bucket? Rude. Oh, okay.
Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this.
Oh no. What? Oh my gosh.
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we
Broom.
care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just secret.
I don't care.
Content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters
No.
from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite.
But I want the
jokes,
bucket.
not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We
There's
can
no
make the
such
Adventure
thing
Line
as
go
too much
somewhere
time.
new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
No.
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
Yay! Are you just taking
Now,
us?
This is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue? Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers. Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
No, never. I will leave. I'll come back. What happens if I go back? I know, that was way too short. I want more music. It's too quiet now. What if I go in here? Oh, that's right. First time chatting in here. Interesting. Oh yeah, I added the stickers thing too. Okay, I guess I'm not gonna say anything now. That sucks. Fine, I'll go back. They better bring the music back, just saying. It's too quiet now. Whoops. What's in here? What's in here? Okay, this is dark. Bucket is scared.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket.
No.
That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the
bot
Bucket
doesn't...
Destroyer.
Wait a minute.
I think it'll make...
Let me, It should. Maybe I'll restart the bot, It should let us hug. I don't know why it's not. That's weird. You know, the bot is acting, there was an update to it, so, been acting kind of weird. I don't know if I need to re-authenticate it or not. Yes, they would. Oh, now it's going in, okay. Oh, now it's doing...
Oh my gosh, someone clip that, please.
There's the bot. Okay, so now the bot is working. So it should... Unfortunately, I don't think the hug works unless you ad tag somebody. Maybe you'd have to do like an ad tag for it. Yeah. Well, also, I'm gonna have to change that. Nice. The emote isn't a thing anymore. Okay, anyway.
The wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me, it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley.
I don't...
Say goodbye to the bucket.
No.
And pop it into the machine when you're ready.
No. Oh, okay. I see how it is. What if I leave? Oh, I can't even leave now. No, I'm just gonna stay here forever. I don't want to give up the bucket. It's my bucket. It's my friend. That looks... No. No, I know.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets
That's too bad.
is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and... destroyer. My prized creation. You had so much potential. We were
I
going to
don't
do
know.
such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you, all of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
I kind of feel bad for him now. But I don't care. I want Bucket. Is that it? No, I want Bucket.
His co-workers were gone. What could
Bucket.
it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Where's Bucket? Oh, there it is.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
Thank you. Okay, I'm not going that way again.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
No, we're gonna go in the broom closet with the bucket.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet
No.
believes it deserves
They
the
can't
bucket.
have the... No.
I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket.
I
know
won't.
how hard
No.
it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship
How
is
dare.
purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I've never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom
Yes.
closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each.
Yeah, remember that one time that we
Share your
destroyed
journey,
the
detailing the rich
bucket
emotional
destroyer?
landscape of your feelings for the bucket, as
We
they've
did that
changed
together.
and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
You can't have it.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all.
Oh, no.
Here we go. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
What if I go down? Oh. I don't know if I want to go down here.
But Stanley just couldn't do it.
Oh, this is the
Consider
same as before.
possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work.
I don't think we can.
Fine for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss was...
Oh, this isn't different. Oh.
Something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze.
Property of
but then
Stanley.
went out in the door. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounded...
Where's my bucket? Where's my bucket?
Indeed. Now he noticed the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very...
Bucket.
Now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now.
Bucket's gone. No.
Stanley, it's me, the bucket. Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to
So
find
many
the
buckets.
bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was
It's not the
only way
same.
to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice
It's
of the
not the
bucket
same.
had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Okay.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security.
This is the same as the...
and was at work. But on this particular
Oh.
day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad.
Our
And
bucket.
him raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel it can be.
That's why.
Hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course,
She stole our bucket.
there were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work. For which her bucket
I mean, she had to have broken in and taken it. Just saying.
Yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Okay, now our bucket, please, please, please. I have this terrible thought that one of the times
All of
we're
his co-workers were gone.
gonna walk out here and the bucket's not gonna be
Stanley
here.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply... The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Yep.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Yep. I'm gonna go this way.
Still no
We're gonna go ahead and go up.
Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see, I feel that it works because the sticker
Yes.
is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself,
Yay!
it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
It was worth it coming in here.
You know what? I could take the name calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily
I think
the
it-
most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
To be rich, is it a crime? To commit crimes, isn't it rich? What a life it would be to have to pick just one. Okay.
reward them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows that's
Yay!
right. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Yay! Can I keep it in my bucket? Yeah, it should have had a mini. I know. It should have had a mini little bucket on it. Why is that? That still freaking freaks me out.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any...
I don't remember what the code was.
Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos.
Yes.
It would be with him, always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply
Well, I
being
did,
near the
but...
bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck.
Yep.
Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Another miniature Stanley figure.
I found another one.
This, you know,
I'm keeping these in my
a
bucket.
snappier name for these things. What about mini Stans? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
It's really dark down here. Yep, indeed.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
This says it escaped, though.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on.
Bucket will protect us.
At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
If I go back now. This is a very long hallway, just saying.
course, Stanley and the bucket thought better of it and realized they simply had too much to live for. Nope.
I don't trust you.
It's death for Stanley and the bucket.
Bucket will save us. Just saying.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned
Bucket
out to
will
be.
save us.
To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket. But what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
No, Bucket!
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death.
Is that the voice of the bucket?
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this...
I wanted to come down here with the bucket.
It was a
Where is the bucket?
glorious bucket to behold.
My bucket! Grand exhibit, yes. The bucket exhibit. You are standing at the precipice of knowledge, much like a bucket itself. The human mind is frequently empty within a cavernous void, but through use of the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substantiated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learn here with you into the world? Will you accept with an open mind and what may be challenging about the information in this exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit? Or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were in ignorance and darkness? No, I will embrace the bucket. Bucket.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own?
How dare
Can
you?
you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the
I want this
bucket
bucket.
is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
How dare you? The buckets from the beginning of time, yes.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should
dare
kneel
you.
before the bucket.
Is that my bucket? How do I get the bucket? How do I get bucket?
There is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new...
I won't give up my bucket. I guess Stanley kicked the bucket.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I still want the bucket. Bucket? Wait. How dare you?
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Yes. Forever home.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
But I want to go in the mind control room this time. Wait. Oh, it's just a... Oh.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers.
Do I have to be in here for like a long time?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him?
Yes.
Yes. This is certainly the most logical explanation.
Bucket knows all. There used to be like an elevator in here. I don't remember where it was though.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. Monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Yeah, everything will be fine, Bucket. Don't worry.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the
No,
bucket
never.
been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in
Pirate.
someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
I can't see anything.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
No. Bucket wants power.
But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an
Never.
image appeared upon the
I would never do that.
Birds. Silly birds. The control buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility
Penguins.
for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through
Yes.
live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
That's actually really cool.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
That was eerie. Bucket, come with me.
Picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around.
Let's go downstairs.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was.
It is.
Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was
Let's
it
sit in
better
here for a
than
little
the
bit.
meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
Bucket likes it in here. relaxing.
Being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right, then walking to the lounge, then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had inspired.
Oh, there it was just like the stuff that just happened. Okay, I thought they were gonna actually go
Here in the employee,
through everything I've done.
perhaps it's the only place a bucket can even feel at home.
Because that would have been pretty cool, but
Stanley decided to just give the bucket absolutely as much time as it needed to be in the lounge. Clearly,
Yes.
the bucket and the employee lounge shared a special connection. But finally, the bucket was done being in the lounge, and they took the first open door on their left to get back to business.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
penalty for misuse of cargo lift 1,000. Penalty for jumping off cargo lift 5,000. Wow. How dare.
Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
No.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because... But Stanley
Whoops.
feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
Whoops. Oh, jeez. Let's try that again.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had the good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket, off on another thrilling adventure together.
Yep.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Yep. I trust Bucket with all my life.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, "No buckets past this point." Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless...
Because...
The problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket. I suppose that would explain a lot of your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have
You're not gonna take my bucket.
on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
No. Oh,
Now then,
wait.
I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Okay, what?
Item 3. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket? Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one.
I love trolling the narrator.
Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket. Item 6. Is this a bucket?
It's not my bucket.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha. Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something. And therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even think about it. I've lost all sense of perspective.
Oh, this
What
is
a
beautiful.
bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't.
Then I'm gonna click yes.
Sorry. I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go.
You wouldn't dare. You wouldn't dare.
Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket?
Yes.
I had no idea.
The bucket is everything.
Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything. We'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
My bucket is going to be back. Because I'm doing everything with a bucket. Who farted? What? Excuse me.
Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest, and this was not the correct way to the
This should be the last place to
Stanley had
go.
felt the bucket calling to him, telling him
I'm gonna go
that the
ride the lift.
was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. A cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him.
Yeah, we're gonna go up here.
It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone and it...
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders?
Yes.
Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk.
It was a joke. Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley.
I didn't think it was funny.
Bucket.
I knew Bucket would
Can't you
never
stop?
talk like
Oh,
that.
Goodness, I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's sitting right here. Let's take a look.
Yes.
What is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh,
Why does it look like a
in all
Simpsons?
likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh.
What?
And then, spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
I'm Dunny with the funny.
Good.
What?
This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence and to very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the
Little.
fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back. I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things. Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed.
But this is funnier.
Joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud? Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. What? We're back at the phone already? No, what's going on? There was supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point, a dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land. Well, not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the two doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again. Yes, surely that will help me improve my...
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison.
Pale? Oh, God.
Let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are.
I guess that's it for the bucket parable.
It is a delivery. Pale with shame.
I'm going to be doing a little sponsored segment too, and then I'll take a little BRB, and then I'll do a little bit of Pokemon before I wrap it up.
Mental. I think I saw it playing guitar. No. Getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole...
First, we'll watch these credits then.
I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos. Let's